So I just recently came across this article it's from the Houston Chronicle, and I haven't read too many articles from their publication, but they put out this editorial from I believe it's their editorial page or something, and they put out this piece where they essentially tried to explain to the reader that Obamacare is just fine, and whatever like attempts that are being made to basically to get rid of it and essentially put an end to Obamacare, as obviously Republicans have tried to do forever, that it's not going to work because it's so ingrained in our society and everybody's accepted and everybody thinks it's wonderful, aka they do not. In reality, they really do not, but whatever. I mean, it's good enough for now, I guess. But anyway, so let me read you guys the headline here. So it's from HoustonChronicle.com. It says, several signs show Obamacare can recover from Republican attempts to kill it. So the body of the article starts off by saying, despite Republican attempts to bleed it to death, there are now signs that the Affordable Care Act can survive. Can survive. The question now is whether Democrats will abandon it for some form of Medicare-for-all. Among the positive signs, premiums for most ACA, Affordable Care Act, plans offered in the Houston area will go down about 1 to 2% in 2020. In contrast, premium rates for Obamacare plans across the country are expected to go up 3%. But even that is good news given premiums nationally increased about 30% last year. Okay, so let's stop it right there for a second. Listen to that explanation about how apparently the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare, is so awesome. Look at that, 1 to 2%. The premiums for most Affordable Care Act plans, just in Houston alone, because it's from the Houston Chronicle, the publication, 1 to 2% in 2020. It will be going down. 1 to 2%. That is so goddamn minuscule. Is that really the argument that you're going to use to talk about how wonderful Obamacare is? Do you know how much premiums people have when they have Medicare for all? Zero. They have zero. They don't have to worry about their premiums going down 1 to 2%. No, because they don't have any freaking premiums. They don't have to worry about that shit. But you're talking about Obamacare going, lessening the premiums by tiny single digit percentages as if it's a wonderful thing. And then at the end of this specific paragraph, you say, but even that is good news given that premiums nationally increased about 30% last year. So how is that good news? You're not making a good case for Obamacare. I mean, they claim it's like, oh, okay, you're because of the I think he says later here, it says, those prices. So let me read the next paragraph here, and then I'll get into my opinion on that. But it says those price hikes were in part due to elimination of Obamacare individual mandate penalty, which the Republican-controlled Congress repealed in 2017. With the penalty gone, many healthy Americans decided to forego insurance. That led insurance companies saddled with sicker risk pools to raise their rates. Okay, so again, that's another bullshit argument, because you're saying, well, it says those price hikes were due in part to the elimination of Obamacare, the Obamacare individual mandate penalty. Okay, but what you're making the... Okay, first of all, I want to say the Republicans don't agree with the individual mandate even after they agreed with it, because it was their plan in the 1990s, because the Heritage Foundation came up with it, and people like Newt Gingrich and Chuck Grassley and all these fucking right-wing assholes, they love the individual mandate because they wanted to fight back against Hillary Clinton when she was First Lady and she was pushing for universal health care. So they supported it then, they hate it now. But this article is saying that those hikes were in part due to the elimination of the individual mandate. But that's the problem. The individual mandate was a terrible policy. It shouldn't have even existed in the first place. Forcing people to purchase insurance, or as you penalize, you penalize them. Like, it's. I'm not saying that's a bad idea, because so let me explain. The reason why they wanted to. The reason why the Obamacare, or just largely this idea of penalizing people who don't purchase don't purchase healthcare or health insurance, and then if you're forced to essentially purchase that insurance, or else you get penalized. Essentially, it's a tax, so that whenever there are situations that that somebody goes into like an emergency room and wants to get care, that taxpayer money, because this goes to taxpayer, it's a penalty from the government, and it essentially goes, it's given to the government, so then they charges it as a tax, and then that taxpayer money that they collect is used for the people that go and go into an emergency room and then get care that obviously is getting covered by taxpayers. So let's just say an illegal immigrant, for example, person that does not have insurance, goes into an emergency room, they're injured, they're hurt, they're sick, whatever they are. They go there, they need emergency care, they need to get that care, and then it's going to be covered by those tax dollars. So the general concept of the penalty, to one extent or another, makes sense. I don't fully agree with it, but I can understand the reasoning as to why somebody would say, like, hey, this is why we're doing it. So that's fine, whatever. The explanation, I don't, it kind of, you can understand the reasoning behind it, even though I don't agree with that policy, because it's a right-wing policy. But I get it. I get why they're doing it. So, but the fact that you're putting that idea out there and defending this right-wing Republican, former Republican, now all of a sudden they hate policy. The Republicans hate the policy, but right-wing, policy out there, this Obamacare policy, which is right-wing. The fact that you're defending this by saying, like, oh, well, they got rid of the individual mandate, and that's the reason why the hikes, partly why the hikes went up, you're making a right-wing argument for the Republicans. And not only that, but you are basically legitimizing the fact that Obamacare is such a weak policy, because it is, and it is such a non-progressive, non-government takeover policy like Medicare-for-all is, which is fucking popular and people want it because every other industrialized country has it. You're legitimizing the Obamacare policy and pretending as if it's so wonderful, even though Republicans and Donald Trump are able to water it down so much that it makes it that it's almost makes it like it's a horrible policy. They basically, what the Republicans and Trump have done is they've been able to make Obamacare so bad, because it was already so bad to begin with, but they pretend as if it's socialized medicine, that they make it like literally like toothless and like it doesn't do anything for anybody, and then they say, oh, look how bad Obamacare is. Look how bad Obamacare is screwing you over. That they just take out all these different, they pick out all these different provisions involved in the Obamacare, the Obamacare policy that they're not. That they basically say, oh, this is how bad Obamacare is. It's not helping you. You don't need the individual mandate. You don't need this. You don't need that. So the policy already sucks so much. Trump and the Republicans, they don't have to do very much to make it even suckier, essentially. But yet the editorial board for the Houston Chronicle thinks somehow this is a good argument, and your premiums are going to go down 1% to 2%. Ooh, fucking hooray! So anyway, so the article continues on, says, with the ACA on the ropes, the Trump administration issued new rules benefiting Obamacare alternatives by expanding consumers' access to short-term and association health plans. These cut-rate plans aren't as extensive as the ACA's, which means their policyholders may not have the coverage they need if they get seriously ill or injured. So what they're basically saying is we improved it. So issued new rules benefiting Obamacare alternatives. Now, in a lot of cases, like I said, they've stripped down Obamacare to its bare minimum and making it, totally like incapacitated and unable to really help people the way it was truly supposed to. And, but the Trump administration, they issue new rules, and then it benefits, benefiting Obamacare alternatives. So the alternatives to Obamacare. So basically what they say, oh, look, we're giving you choices. We're giving you alternatives to Obamacare. Since Obamacare sucks so fucking much, we're going to give you alternatives by expanding to consumers to short-term and association health plans. And, they're not as extensive as the ACA, but at least you have choices. At least you have alternatives. So, it's the Republicans' way of kind of like pretending as if they care more about healthcare and the people's ability to get healthcare by saying like, oh look, we're giving you choices, and Obamacare didn't give you choices because it made you purchase insurance, even though that's what Republicans want you to do anyway because they love private insurance. So for them to act like as if the Republicans to act like as if they're giving you more choices because they're getting alternatives, bullshit. It's honestly just gaslighting and grandstanding and pretending as if you give a shit about people's healthcare plans when in reality you want them to pay higher premiums and higher copays and stuff like that. So you don't give a fuck, but you just pretend like you do. And Republicans are very good at pretending like they care about regular people. The next part here says, despite such blatant attempts to blow up Obamacare, it is becoming more ingrained. In fact, several insurance companies, including Cigna, Oscar, Bright Health, and Centene, are expanding the number of states where they will offer ACA plans. That's a clear sign that companies once feared losing money with Obamacare have found ways to make a profit. Okay, that's the problem. Oh my God. So that's the fucking problem. They're not supposed to be making a profit. The insurance companies are not supposed to be profiting off the people that are dying from fucking terminal illnesses. So I don't understand why these people are such idiots. How do they write these articles? Listen, these articles are written and it goes through our fucking boardroom of people that say, yeah, this is a perfectly good article. Yeah, put it out there and for people to read. This is a ridiculous piece. It's an editorial board piece too. It came from, I believe it came from the editorial opinion board or whatever, the people that get together and they write an article together and then it's approved by the editors and all that stuff. You people are morons. I mean, this isn't even like a mainstream publication, New York Times, Washington Post, stuff. It's nothing like that. This is the Houston Chronicle of all places. And they're talking about, oh my God, it's so wonderful. Look how great Obamacare is. It's so ingrained. And in fact, insurance companies are expanding the number of states where they will offer. Why didn't they ever expand the number of states that they had before? Why are they just doing it now? Because they weren't making a profit. And the article even admits that's a clear sign that the companies that once feared losing money with Obamacare have found ways to make a profit. So all they care about is making a profit. They see that they can make an extra fucking buck, and they're like, "Oh, great! So we can make a buck. We can make an extra, an extra few bucks off that. Okay, we're awesome. We love it." So that's what they're banking off. It's crazy, man. I don't know how they make this argument and pretend as if it's like, oh yeah, this shows that the Obamacare is so wonderful. The next part says, that doesn't mean the ACA is no longer in jeopardy. The number of individuals who selected an insurance plan on the ACA marketplace has dropped, a peak of 12,681,874 in 2016, the last year of the Obama presidency, to 11,444,141 this year, 2019. So yeah, that's the point. People are losing their insurance plans. They're not able to afford private insurance. It's not public insurance. It's private insurance. So they're not able to afford it, and then they're getting dropped from their plans for their, because the fucking stupid, rapacious, for-profit, pathetic insurance companies don't want to, cover these people for their, terrible, terminal illnesses that they're going through, cancer treatment, whatever kind of, I don't know, surgery they need, the emergency surgery they need, or they want to get some sort of physical therapy perhaps. They're getting kicked off their plans, and they're like, oh yeah, it's the marketplace has dropped. The ACA marketplace has dropped. Yeah, acting as if it's so fucking casual. Oh, but don't worry, the companies, the insurance companies are found ways to make a profit, so they totally love Obamacare now. And then the last few parts here says, blame for the drop can't all be placed at President Trump's feet, though he vowed to kill Obamacare during his campaign. The ACA is in serious need of repair. Flaws that became apparent soon after the first enrollment of participants began in 2013 still haven't been fixed. Yeah, it's going wonderful. What happened to Obamacare being able to survive? It says, among them, providing an incentive for middle-class families that don't qualify for the ACA's tax credit subsidies. Encouraging signs suggest an improved ACA is the better choice for America right now if it becomes a bridge later to something even better. Okay, we already have something better. That's what Medicare-for-all is. We don't need the ACA. The ACA when the ACA was implemented into the system, into the American system, it was a small, tiny, minuscule step forward. It barely made a fucking dent, if anything, even a small dent into the insurance companies and their ability to make profits. Obviously, the people that working at the Houston Chronicle love the idea of Cigna and Oscar and Bright Health and Centene, making more profit. They love the idea of them making profit. So obviously, the ACA is wonderful to the Houston Chronicle and, all the other, let alone all the other mainstream publications out there. I honestly am surprised to see the Houston Chronicle, unlike the New York Times and Washington Post, making these arguments. The fact that a localized newspaper in a relatively small market is making that argument is pretty pathetic, honestly. But when it comes to the idea that Obamacare is a better choice for America right now? No, yeah, right now, yeah, it's a better choice compared to what? Nothing? Yes, of course it is, but that's still nothing. Something is not necessarily always better than nothing. It's barely a change, because what that something is a lot of times is nothing or barely anything. So, and then if you portray that as better than nothing, then people are like, yeah, it must be awesome because it can't get better than this. So people just accept something that's something when it's really, honestly, should be a hell of a lot more than it is. So it's just a typical capitulation to the insurance companies so they can make more profits, and that's all they care about. But ultimately, this isn't encouraging signs of the ACA improving, especially when you're talking about slight drops in the premiums. 1 to 2% in premiums drop, 3% in premiums dropping. That's nothing. That is nothing. People are still suffering even with all those drops in the premiums, in the tiny ass percentages of drops. And the Houston Chronicle is writing this as if it's like a wonderful fucking thing. These people are so out of touch, and it's unbelievable that they write these articles and they think this makes a case for the ACA being wonderful and private health insurance companies being wonderful, capitalism being this wonderful thing that can actually deal with the health insurance market. Get the fuck out of here. You people are not serious. You don't know anything about people suffering through the current healthcare crisis. You're totally out of touch. You wrote this article to try and pretend as if Obamacare is still wonderful and is still hanging on by a thread, and that's a great thing, when in reality it's really not. I mean, even if it is hanging on by a thread, nothing is really being changed. Yes, it exists. Yes, it's still out there. Trump can't get rid of it. Republicans know they can't get rid of it because it's there, and it's whatever. It's, I don't know, maybe hasn't been attacked as much lately, and people are accepting the idea of like individual mandates and having to purchase insurance even though they probably can't afford it. But you portray that as if it's a good thing, and then encouraging signs that suggest an improvement. Like, it would be different if you said that and said, "Oh, okay, well, this is a good bridge to to Medicare-for-all." They don't even mention Medicare-for-all. They say, and then at the end of the article, the very very end of the article, they say even if it becomes a bridge later to something even better. So they don't even say like that it should be. So they don't say like, "Oh, okay, the ACA Obamacare was a good step forward," or whatever they want to say, but we need something a hell of a lot better. They don't even say that. They just say, "Oh, the ACA is a better choice for America right now." Again, right now, the better choice for America right now because people need to have insurance. Yeah, but people need to have a hell of a lot better insurance than this. Not even insurance. They need to have better health care than this. Not insurance. The insurance doesn't need to exist. So stop, making a case on behalf of Cigna and Blue Shield and all those other fucking rapacious, for-profit healthcare insurance companies. You're trying to make a case for them. You're trying to talk about how great Obamacare is and how wonderful it is and how it's going to survive. When in reality, Obamacare shouldn't even be the way it is. It shouldn't even be what it is. It should be Medicare-for-all. That's what we need. That's what Bernie Sanders is trying to implement and wants to implement. He is the only politician right now The only politician running for president right now that wants a full implementation of Medicare for all. Elizabeth Warren doesn't want that. Kamala Harris doesn't want that. Pete Buttigieg doesn't want. They claim they do. Andrew Yang doesn't want that. Those people, Beto O'Rourke, they don't want these kind of things. They don't want to. Joe Biden definitely doesn't want it. But these people don't want to push for that to happen. They claim, some of them claim, other than Biden, who just loves Obamacare. I'm sure he loves an article like this. But other than Joe Biden, everybody else claims to support Medicare for all, but they really don't. They just claim they do because they want to suck up to progressives, and then ultimately they're going to do something completely different behind their backs. We're not buying it. We know Bernie Sanders is the only one that's going to want to fully implement Medicare for all. Everybody else talks about different paths and, yes, we'll ultimately get there, blah, 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 blah. And they want to take 10 years. Kamala Harris's Medicare for all, bullshit Medicare for all plan, which is basically a public option, wants to take 10 years to implement the plan. Bernie Sanders wants to take 4 years to implement the plan. I don't even know what the hell Elizabeth Warren wants to do, so I'm not even going to get into what she wants to do on Medicare for all because I don't even trust her on that. So Bernie Sanders is doing everything he can to make sure that the legitimate healthcare system is in existence and it's helping people instead of allowing the greedy for-profit assholes that love capitalism, that want capitalism to run our healthcare system. He doesn't want those people to have any advantages, and we're behind him 100% on that.